My name is Lynn Kilabuk. I'm the president of Largabaffin Limited. I'm originally from Nunavut, born and raised in Panuktuk, but has was living in Iqaluit for the remainder of my adulthood, and now living here in Ottawa 7 years. So Largabaffin takes care of all the patients that come from Nunavut, mostly the Qikiqtani region, for any type of medical or clinical. So we see all spectrums from oncology to just referral. Depending on the complexity, it could be a month, it could be 3 months, to the longest a year. So let's say they first start in community where they are told to come to Ottawa for either a diagnosis or treatment. And let's say it's from the furthest most community, which is Grise Fiord. They only have 2 flights a week from that community. So they would fly from Grise Fiord to Resolute, and they have no choice but to stop over in Iqaluit, which is the capital of Nunavut, and where the hospital is. And they could be there for a day or two. And that flight would take up to 5 hours just to get to Iqaluit. And then from Iqaluit to Ottawa is another 3 hour direct flight, which we would pick them up from the airport and bring them here to Largabaffin, notify them of their appointments. If they have more up-to-date information about their appointments, they share with us and we share back with the case manager. Usually when patients come down, if the government thinks they don't need a helper or a family member, they come on their own. The more elderly you are or vulnerable, let's say for a child or an elder, you can get one helper, or if it's extremely vulnerable, they get 2 helpers. And we take care of all of them while they're here, taking them to their appointments and also feeding them, housing them. But that is their only support while they're here. Other than that, they have left their family and community. They've left either their spouse or their children. And sometimes the person you may trust or get support from the most can't follow you and help you, because while you come down, you're committing to be here in Ottawa for 3 weeks without being able to return home. So that then makes you wonder, if you have a job, will you get paid? Because you only have so many sick time. So while you're gone, you may not get paid. That will put your family at risk for food security, for housing, which puts a lot of stress on the family. And so they usually come together as a family to decide who can take that time, who can help support that person who's coming down for cancer diagnosis or treatment. But it is a whole family that decides who's going to help them and who would help them the best. Sometimes it's a whole family. We have an instance where a particular family was 3 daughters, and all 3 daughters were diagnosed with cancer, and one passed away. And then the other sisters came and were here to get that diagnosis and that treatment while they're here, and took the whole family to be here. And that was like a 5 year process for the family. One of the sisters was adopted, but the whole family heard about the thing, because then once they found out the family relation, they wanted to ensure that that family got tested as well. So it was a full family event, and the whole family had to be here for that many years. So it was a big impact on them and how they were able to support each other. And you kind of make your own little community, because you find out other patients who may not be from your same home community but are going through the same situations, and they kind of tend to talk together. They get connected by other people in the hospital to be able to maybe help each other and talk, but they're all informal. And they talk to a lot of staff regularly just to say how they're feeling, how they're getting through this. So even though we may not have counselors, a lot of our staff end up helping counseling people just to say, you know what, I'm having a really hard time today. I'm away from my family. I don't know what to do. I'm just tired. I'm scared. And that's what they talk about. And then that helps them get to the next day and the next week or the next treatment. So we try to ensure that people feel comfortable while they're here, they're safe, and that somebody is willing to listen to them, whoever they do go to, whether it's staff, the hospital, a social worker. But I mean, they have to say that they need help. And when they do, it's usually people come together to help that person out. For accessibility for cancer care, a lot of it's of course pre-diagnosis, knowing that it's a lot earlier. It's 5 to 15 years earlier than the national average, and actually admitting to that and pre-screening and knowing your audience. Also understanding that it takes a whole community and a whole family to decide when they're going to go through treatment, and that to respect that and not just blurt out what needs to be done, but to be respectful that the whole family needs to make the decision, because it's going to take the whole family together to support that person. And Inuit inherently work as a team and work as a family to ensure someone gets as much care as they can, because they want to help that person. And if that helps that person to be around family longer and everybody take turns, it's great. If people don't have that family support, of course they're going to rely on friends. If they don't have that extended family to rely on, but it still takes a community to do it. And to understand that and putting that pressure on a patient to make a decision right away, I believe is very unreasonable when it takes a family to decide, and just asking them to think about that. And then just, it's easier to hear from a doctor being honest and saying, you know what, this is all I can do, instead of hearing, oh, we'll make you feel comfortable. In Inuktitut, that doesn't translate. It does not translate. What do you mean feel comfortable? Does that mean you're not going to help me? I can't be helped? Does that mean I can't do anything? Does that mean I'm not going home? And home means their home community. Home does not mean Largabafin. So when you're saying home, to them that means going back to their family. So if you're saying you can't go back, or you can go home, and you just mean Largabafin, that's a big misconception, and people get angry and frustrated when they hear home, because home is not Largabafin. Home is a pit stop, and we try to make them feel comfortable and secure. But when you say home, they want to go to Grease Fjord, Resolute Bay, Iqaluit, Pangertown, Hall Beach, Ikulik. That to them is home. I guess just to understand, people take longer to process information, and your 30-second, 15-minute check needs longer to be open to going back to talking about diagnosis and or treatment. It's very hard to hear it the first time, so you need to be able to process it and tell family. And when you don't have that opportunity, it's like cumbersome to the family to try to remember everything. So they need more support to be able to make that decision as a family. Some can make that decision really quick, fine, but some need more than that.
Okay.
So this is a walrus skull with its full tusks in. So that's ivory, and
The tusks are ivory.
the tusks are ivory.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.